Are you ready for an all digital Xbox? I hope you guys are because that's where Microsoft is headed. We have to talk about this article from IGN because it gives us details about what could be the future of Microsoft. Let's have a look. Is the world now ready for the all digital future Microsoft wanted 10 years ago? Keep in mind that this is not the first time they betted on the future. Let's take a read. The leaked news of Microsoft's plan for a slim version of the Xbox Series X is not surprising. The Xbox 360 had not one but two slim versions, and the Xbox One got the significantly smaller Xbox One S. While Sony has released their smaller versions of every PlayStation so far up to through the PS4. But what is shocking, at least if the plan hasn't changed, as Phil Spencer suggested some of it in his as acknowledgement of the embarrassing spillage of the Microsoft's hardware roadmap, is that the Brooklyn, as the skinnier Xbox X Series X's codename, doesn't have a Blu-ray drive. This begs the question: is the Xbox Series X that's on store shelves and in my gaming room right now the last Xbox console that will ever include an optical drive? Since the Gen 10 Xbox due out in 2028 would likely follow suit and drop the this drive, and if so, what does this mean for the future of how we buy and play games? Let's read on. First, it means that Microsoft would be pulling out of the retail almost entirely. Sure, they would love to have the shelf space at the Targets and Best Buys of the world to sell the consoles themselves, but that would be it. Except for maybe a spot on the gift card rack to sell Microsoft Store gift cards. This likely wouldn't be the bold, disruptive, and risky move it would have been ever even 5 years ago. Though, as consumers of all goods continue to do more and more of their shopping online for the things they want and need, shopping malls are rapidly emptying out and going extinct. With as someone who grew up in the 80s and 90s thinking malls were the coolest places ever, Foot Locker, baggages, the food court, the arcade, saddens me a bit. And I'll talk about my own personal anecdote about that in a moment. On a similar note, a ministry of the video game retail ecosystem, GameStop, might finally go extinct. The company has been on a downward spiral for years, as gamers have naturally been shifting to more and more online purchases. But Xbox going all digital could push them over the edge of bankruptcy, especially if PlayStation follows suit. Sure, Nintendo likely won't be walking away from physical media anytime soon, but can GameStop survive on Nintendo cartridges alone? I wouldn't bet on it. If Sony ends up sticking with the Blu-ray for the duration of this console generation, and particularly the next one, and it perhaps a bit more incentivized to do so, that it owns the Blu-ray standard, it makes Microsoft's moves that much bolder. But it wouldn't be the first time Microsoft made a big bet on where the future is headed. In 2001, Microsoft put internet ports on every single original Xbox console, intending to launch with broadband only gaming subscription service a year later, at a time when 56K dial up modems were still the most common vehicle for internet connectivity, and subscription services were anything but normal, particularly in the video game space. That bet paid off handsomely as Xbox Live became the most best place to play games online, not just on consoles, but arguably compared to a PC as well. which had its share of dial up players, nor was a chat headset standard equipment for every player. And as we can see here, y'all, these are the pictures from the Xbox Series X refresh from the leaked FTC versus Microsoft document. And as we can see here, there is no disk drive on the Brooklyn or the Elliewood. That is the Elliewood. This is the controller. This is their lineup. Let's continue. A later big bet, bundling the Kinect motion controller in every single Xbox One. Didn't work, but the point is that Microsoft's gaming division has never shied it away from risk. In fact, that same Xbox One tried to go always online before infamously backtracking on its 24-hour online check-in policy before launch. And so the question is the console market now ready to go all digital? After all, PC gaming has been there for years and it's thriving. I would argue that it is. The all digital Xbox Series S has been a hit, outselling its more powerful and yet more expensive disk drive, including sibling. Xbox Game Pass, the all digital Netflix of gaming, has over 25 million subscribers. For gamers who still prefer to buy games on disc, either due to preference or internet bandwidth limitations, Microsoft can easily sell an external Blu-ray drive that connects to the Brooklyn through its front-facing USB-C port. Regardless of where Microsoft goes, the next 5 years of console gaming are going to be mighty interesting. All right, now let's get into the commentary portion of today's article. So, we talked about the article, now let's commentate on it. So, it's time for Yuki's commentary on the article. Will they go all digital? Here's the thing about this. Let's talk about the shopping part of this. When they talked about how malls are starting to empty out. Here the article is correct. There's less people at a mall nowadays than it was back in the 80s and 90s. Ever since that the people are talking about buying on Amazon or in some cases buying stuff on Temu or other shops that you know of. Shopping malls are starting to become extinct, folks, and they are. They're starting to. A lot of people are going to Amazon to buy their games, or in some cases, even buy their food. In some cases. So the things that we need and the things that we want are now on Amazon. There's very few people at the mall nowadays. And even if there is people at the mall, it's not like as it used to be in the 80s and 90s, especially in the food court, especially in the arcade. I can tell you now, my story for today, and when it comes to malls, back back when I was younger, and I really mean 90s here, because I'm a 90s boy. Back when I was in the mall, there used to be a Mario store here in Glendale Galleria in Los Angeles that had this Mario thing where you can buy, well, Mario video game Mario for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System (SNES). And I remember buying my first I think I remember buying a Mario game there, and it was my best decision. It was Super Mario RPG: Legend of the Seven Stars, and I still play that today. You just don't see me play as much because of the other games I have. But knowing that I remember that and back in the 90s or early 2000s is telling you something. That was the best story to come out me talking about a mall because I used to shop at mall when I was very young, and I mean very young. Okay, and then I will go with my friends there to eat. We still go there, but it's not as much as like back in the day. Okay, then let's talk about what they talked about in terms of GameStop. GameStop has been on a very bad rack, bad bad rap recently. Their company standards has been going down, and now that we saw in the article that Xbox is going all digital, and if Sony follows Xbox again, both Sony and Microsoft in terms of like video games could be out of store shelves and into the online market because of the digital aspect of the games. Like you're gonna buy a code and you're gonna put the code in into your Xbox or your PlayStation Store account to get that game. And that's how it's going nowadays. And X and GameStop has been trying different things like toys or cell phone. Yeah, remember that? I don't, but they did try cell phones. Okay, so X GameStop is not doing so hot either. And as also said, the article also said that it could be bankruptcy for GameStop if this goes through in 2028. Now, obviously, 2028 is a long ways away, but considering the fact that we're getting closer and closer, I don't see GameStop surviving that much longer, folks. I really don't. Not based on this article. And then let's talk about another. Refresh on the fact that Microsoft has been betting on the future. Does it work? Not much, not all the time, but a big factor of what makes Xbox interesting is that they betted on the future. And in the article, they said, "Oh, we're gonna be putting internet cables, internet ports on the back of the Xbox original and Xbox 360 as well." The intention, of course, was to allow online gaming through the use of the internet port and to use a subscription service when there was an and when back in 2001 in terms of the video game space, you don't usually see a video game subscription service. Better yet, we never heard of online subscription yet. This was not like Netflix or like any other service that we have today. This was revolutionary at the time. Okay, look at what happened. Look at look at what happened later. 2001 for Xbox was the future. Internet cable to play with games? Sign me up in 2001 because now you get to play with your buddies online. And look at where Xbox Game Pass has gone. Xbox Game Pass, by the way, if you guys do not know, was renamed to Xbox. Xbox Live was renamed to Xbox Game Pass, and now they actually got rid of Xbox Live Gold. However, the legacy of Xbox Live continues as part of Xbox Game Pass, which is the same concept, only a different name. But the legacy of 2001 in terms of Microsoft lives on in the name of Xbox Game Pass. And now look at where it is at now with new games coming out, new features like early access or download this for free early days, like 5 days early. Xbox Game Pass has definitely come a very long way since its since it since its infamy. I mean, not infamy, but since its introduction as Xbox Live back in 2001. and it's been a very wild. It's been a wild ride, but it's been a very handsome, good ride. Gotta say. Now, of course, did everything work? No, not all bets go your way. They did try Connect, that flopped, that totally flopped, but it did introduce motion gaming with like it where PlayStation did. PlayStation Move was also introduced alongside with Xbox Series X Connect. Now, did it work? No, not necessarily, but it did show you guys that Xbox has been taking the lead on innovation, like what we said earlier with Game Pass, with Xbox Live. It revolutionized gaming online, and now with Connect, it didn't work initially, but it did pave the way for motion gaming. Nintendo did that too with the Nintendo Wii, with the Wii Remote and the motion gaming. Okay, and motion gaming consists today in terms of VR. So if you want to say thank you to a company who's doing the future, it's Microsoft, folks. It's Xbox. But the question is, I think the big question is for this article, are we ready for an all digital future? I do want to point out one thing that I think we need to don't we cannot forget about, especially as we head into a digital gaming space. We need to talk about preservation, gaming preservation, and especially when it comes to Xbox and other services. Look, I am all in on the future. I really am in gaming wise. But are we all ready for all digital? It's gonna be very, very tricky. First off, when it comes to gaming, there is a thing called gaming preservation that we need to discuss. And we have seen in the past, especially with Nintendo, not preserving their games. As an example, in March of 2023, earlier this year, they closed down the the store for Nintendo 3DS and I believe Nintendo Wii U in March of 2023. I will tell you now, we have lost a lot of games because of that. We will never see them again. Of course, unless they were emulated, of course, then yeah. But in particular, digital only games were never seen again because they closed down the shop. Okay? And remember, Nintendo has been very, very, very strict with copyright. They've been very strict with that, especially with piracy and all that good stuff all that good stuff. They will really come after you if you try to use one of their products, like Mario or Zelda or other franchises that they have. Mario, Zelda, I believe Kirby is another one, and they're really into that. They really want to put it down in terms of fan-made projects. We have seen that happen in the past, and they don't preserve their games well. That's why emulation exists nowadays. That's why Dolphin Emulator exists. That's why PC, PCCX3 exists for PlayStation. That's why Yuzu exists for Nintendo Switch. That's why SNES 9S X exists for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System and ROM hacks, by the way. So, and remember, recently, there's another story that the horrible story of Madden NFL. Meta NFL game. Cloud saves are getting removed without people noticing. That's why I I think we are ready for the digital portion of gaming, but at the same time we are not. Okay? That's why I caution you about that. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think we are ready for this digital age of gaming? Do you think that my Xbox that GameStop will eventually be out of the board, off the board in terms of purchasing games? And do you think Xbox in terms of Microsoft is going to bet is this big bet of all digital is going to pay off in the future? Let me know in the comments below, and we will be live tomorrow for the X Defiant open beta on Kick and YouTube. So make sure you guys check that out. It's a very big update for us tomorrow. So don't miss out. That's all for now. As always, live life to the fullest. And this has been Yuki Gaming News. And we'll see you on the next article reading tomorrow, September 28th, 2023. Enjoy.